NFL franchises have grown increasingly impatient with their young quarterbacks. It doesn't take long before a franchise decides time to move on. You know, the Bengals and Dolphins, perfect example of why that sort of thing is flawed, because Tua Tagovailoa had a slow start to his career. Injuries, poor supporting cast, terrible offensive line. Then all of a sudden, gets some help with the offensive line, gets a couple of weapons there, good wide receivers. Now Tua is an MVP candidate. Joe Burrow, weren't sure how good he was going to be. Could he stay healthy? Knee surgery, getting sacked. They got to the Super Bowl. Now we're looking at the Bengals going, was that a one-time fluke there? Well, they got the Dolphins coming up tonight. And the Dolphins are 3.5-point underdogs here. But you have these quarterbacks that you have to be fair, like Justin Fields with the Chicago Bears. I don't know how good he is. I know how good he was when he was in college. When everything went right, he was great. But the NFL, everything doesn't go right. And if it does, it doesn't last that long. But when you have more talent on your team at Ohio State than you do with the Bears, that's going to be a problem for your quarterback. And Justin Fields, I don't know how good he is. I don't know how good Zach Wilson is, who makes his start. I don't know how good Mac Jones is going to be. Now everybody has come out of the woodwork to say, Trevor Lawrence, see, I told you. Well, where were you when he wasn't playing well? He's supposed to be great. Like, people give this appearance of, man, I'm surprised. Trevor Lawrence is good. He was supposed to be the can't-miss guy when he was in high school. And then he got to Clemson. And now, being the number one pick with Jacksonville. Why is he better? He's got a better coach, and he has better talent around him. Josh Allen looked like he couldn't play the position his rookie year. What happened? Got a good coach, got some consistency there, drafted well. He's got a really good team around him. John Elway was terrible his rookie year. Peyton Manning wasn't good his rookie year. You start to look at these quarterbacks and you go, what's wrong with him? Well, when you get talent, then all of a sudden you start to see what these teams see in these quarterbacks. Sometimes they never even get that opportunity. You know, I go back, David Klingler played for the Bengals. He's as athletic as I've seen in a quarterback, but he didn't last long. Not on a great team. You have David Carr, Derek's brother. Great talent. Got roughed up. Nobody got sacked more first 4 years of his career. I think he averaged getting sacked 60 times. So when we look at a quarterback, now do I think Tua could be similar to Steve Young, Kenny Stabler, from the standpoint of they don't have a gun. You know, they don't have a rocket arm, but they had accuracy. Stabler, Steve Young. Steve Young's as accurate as any quarterback. But you have to have look at the receivers Stabler had. Look at the receivers that Steve Young had. You got to have somebody who can help you. All else fails, that guy helps me. And if you have two of them, now all of a sudden you can be an all-pro. And that's why when we have this rush to judgment, I mean, Zach Wilson probably gets the rest of this season. Then all of a sudden we're going to go, he might be a bust. And you know, Trey Lance at what point? He gets next year? And then what? Now, he got injured. But then he comes back, and then we're going to go, can Trey Lance play the position? That's how it works. And that's why this rush to judgment, usually after 2 years, and you're like, that guy's not, he's not going to be a franchise quarterback. But it's guys who learn, they're willing to learn, they know they're going to take their lumps. And the reason why a talented quarterback is taken high because that team they're going to was not good. Now you have to be the centerpiece to turn that team around. Happened with Buffalo and Josh Allen. Happened with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. You know, Trevor Lawrence, is it going to happen? I like that Jacksonville is playing Philadelphia this weekend. Doug Peterson. Hopefully I could never under or overestimate an Eagles fan or that stadium's reaction. I'm hoping that they do give him a round of applause. I'm not asking for standing ovation. Maybe they should do that. But a nice round of applause for Doug Peterson when he comes back. All righty, Marvin, what do you have for me?
Has there ever been a quarterback that was a bust on his original team and then he goes somewhere else and you're like, where was this guy when he was with his original team? I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head that was.
Jim Plunkett was with the Patriots, then went to the Raiders and won a couple of Super Bowls. I'm sure the NFL's littered with those quarterbacks where you started out and you didn't do well, and then all of a sudden you went to another team. I mean, Kurt Warner was with the Packers and then went to St. Louis. Then you had the injury to Trent Green and became a Hall of Fame quarterback. Matt Hasselbeck was with the Packers. And then he went to Seattle. Yeah, Paul.
Alex Smith, no one pick out of Utah. He didn't start very well with the Niners. Then he kind of got good, and then he really hit it with the Chiefs.
The Bengals have covered in each of their last 7 games against teams with a winning record. Dolphins are getting 3.5. By the way, the Dan Patrick Takes a Gamble podcast, will be recording that later today after the show with Bad Larry, who is bad with his pick so far, Shea and Irving, and Dylan, the graphics guy.